Episode 113, the Adobe CC 2018 show. Today's episode is a rundown of the latest Adobe Creative Cloud 2018 updates and why it's important to keep a finger on the technology pulse. And you are listening to episode number 113 of Mike Murphy Unplugged. Learn, create, move forward. I am your host, Mike Murphy. I'm a one-man band. I'm a technology junkie. I love helping people figure things out, and I am really excited to be here with you today. The goal of Mike Murphy Unplugged is to help you learn what you need to know in order to create online content so you can move forward in business and in life. So welcome to this episode 113, the Adobe CC 2018 show. Adobe Creative Cloud just released a major update to all of their desktop, mobile, and web applications, and today I'm going to cover the highlights and share the updates that I am most excited about, and maybe you will be too. If you have no idea what the Adobe Creative Cloud is, you can go way back to the archives to episode number 38 called The Adobe Show, where I go into full detail about the Adobe Creative Cloud. But for the quick summary, so that we're all on the same page today, the Adobe Creative Cloud is a subscription-based bundle of creative software programs by Silicon Valley giant Adobe. Adobe CC, as it's called, is the creative industry standard used by graphic and web designers, video creators, editors, podcasters, print and advertising agencies, and online content creators from all walks of life. It's a big deal. Photoshop was always the program most associated with Adobe, but video, audio, and animation is a major component of Adobe Creative Cloud. For individuals, a subscription to the Adobe CC is $50 per month. For students and teachers, it's only $19.99 per month. If you want to give it a spin, I will put a link in the show notes where you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, or just go to mikemurphy.co/Adobe and get access to everything for a month. You can subscribe to individual apps for only $19.99. Let's say you just want to use Audition to record and edit your podcast. You can do so a la carte. And what I think is the deal of a lifetime that many people still are not aware of is the photography bundle, as it's called. This includes Photoshop, Lightroom, and Adobe Bridge for only $9.99 a month. And I think that is a smoking deal. Okay, technology trends. So before I get into the breakdown, I have some food for thought about the big tech giants such as Adobe. For context, I have been immersed in the Adobe world for about 10 years now. It is far from perfect, but I am a fanboy and think that the $50 per month for creative professionals is an incredible value. And for me, the Adobe Creative Cloud is the backbone of my business, which I realize might not be the case for you, but it is for me. The reason I think Adobe and the Adobe Creative Cloud is so incredible and important is that it is run by innovative and forward thinkers and creatives and stays current and even ahead of the rapidly changing technologies, which is not easy to do today. So while I may get excited for the new bells and whistles in Photoshops or After Effects, what I also pay attention to is the trends and the technologies that Adobe is focusing on in the entire creative community, so I can stay relevant in my own content creation and understand the market and learn new ways to get my content in front of people. Like it or not, Apple, Adobe, Amazon, they are dominating because they understand how human behavior works, and they are shaping technology and creativity in business with the tools and products and services they offer. And if you want to stay relevant and stand apart from everyone else, all you really need to do is pay attention to what companies like Adobe are focusing on. And you don't need to know what AR or VR or artificial intelligence is, but if the new iPhone and all of the video apps in Adobe CC are talking a lot about those technologies, then maybe put it in the back of your head as something to keep an eye on. The name of the game for us as content creators is figuring out how to get our podcasts and videos and social media posts and services in front of people, right? Well, how do you consume content today? Are you thinking about that? What device do you spend the most time on? Now, I don't know about you, but my internet browsing and content consumption habits have changed drastically in the past 2 to 3 years. And while I still spend a lot of time creating content on my laptop, the majority of my internet and social media time is spent on my iPhone and my iPad. This matters. It matters that Adobe is providing solutions to make it really easy to make videos and animated social media content for mobile devices, and that Apple is overhauling their podcast platform and introducing augmented reality and face recognition and all those fun little animojis and stuff. And just to be clear, you do not have to get as nerdy as I do, and it's not important that you stay up to date on every announcement and update and all of the latest trends. All you really need to do is listen to podcasts that will keep you up to speed. Hint, hint. As you build your brand and business and create content, keep your finger on the pulse and use the tools and the services that are going to give you the best chance of standing out or getting noticed. And take advantage of these amazing tools that are given to you that will help you move forward. All right, on to Adobe Creative Cloud 2018. This was considered a major update. It came out in October of 2017. The way Adobe CC works is you download the Creative Cloud app on your Mac or your PC, and you manage everything in this one app. There are over 20 desktop apps that you can download, and there are more on mobile and on the web that you can use. It's all really easy now to install, uninstall, and to update applications that you already have installed on your computer. The tools that I'm going to touch on today are the core of my workflow and the staples of Adobe Creative Cloud, which are Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Lightroom, Audition, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and the new kids on the block just out of beta, Adobe XD, Adobe Dimension, and the funnest of them all, Adobe Character Animator. And don't worry, I'm just going to breeze through these. I'm going to touch on the updates. And I really just want to give you a highlight reel for those of you who haven't had the time to explore the new updates and to point out a few of them that made me happy. And while not as fun to play with, it should be noted that all of the apps got user interface improvements and performance enhancements under the hood, so that is a good thing. I'll start with what I thought was one of the biggest updates, and one that is near and dear to me, and that was the introduction of Adobe Lightroom CC. This is a completely brand new cloud-based photo management tool that will eventually replace the original Lightroom that pro photographers have used for years. The old version is now called Lightroom Classic and is going to get phased out eventually. Lightroom CC comes with 1 terabyte of storage, which is pretty good, and it gives photographers the ability to edit, manage, and back up their entire photo workflow from any device on any computer. My entire 700 gigabyte photo library is now backed up to the cloud, and I can edit the original RAW or JPEG files from my iPhone, or jump onto my iPad, or maybe go to the library computer and pick up where I left off, send to clients for review, or upload to social media. This excites me as Lightroom is my primary tool for photo management, and I do not like being a slave to external hard drives. So that is Adobe Lightroom CC. Not perfect yet, but it is a really good step in the right direction. All right, Photoshop, my comfort zone. Photoshop got several updates. Not all are super exciting to me, such as the Curvature Pen Tool, the variable fonts. I'm not really a fan of this new interactive tooltips that pop out this little window whenever you hover near a tool, but good for beginners, I suppose. I really love the new Quick Share menu, which allows you to send Photoshop documents that you're working on. Doesn't matter how many layers, you can send them to your messages or AirDrop or social media channels or Facebook and Twitter right from Lightroom. You can also now access Lightroom photos in Photoshop. These are 2 awesome features for me. But my favorite new update in Photoshop by far is the new brush engine and the new Kyle Webster brushes that are now part of Photoshop. Kyle Webster is an incredible digital artist who has been making and selling brushes for years. And they are unbelievably realistic. You feel like you have a paintbrush or a marker or a pencil in your hand. Incredible. And Adobe also thought highly of them since they hired him to be part of the Photoshop team, and they replaced all of the default brushes that they've had for years with the Kyle Webster brushes. Now, even though I already own the over 1,000 brushes that are now included with Photoshop CC 2018, they are now native and so much easier to organize and faster to use. These brushes are so fun to use, and they really inspire me to create and to just experiment with different styles. All I can say that if you have not checked out the new Kyle Webster brushes and you use Photoshop, I highly recommend doing so. Okay, Adobe Illustrator and InDesign are 2 apps that I use regularly, and I would say that the most exciting updates were in Illustrator. I got the Puppet Warp tool that is just plain fun to use, and the new Properties panel is a welcomed addition to Illustrator. InDesign got EndNotes. I don't really get too excited about EndNotes, so let's move on to audio and video. Adobe Audition. The tool that I use for this podcast and all of my audio needs keeps getting better, faster, easier, and more podcast and audio editing friendly. Why? Well, because podcasting and audio content is going to be a big deal for the future of content creators. The update that I was most excited about in Audition was auto ducking, which is when you have a voice track and a music track. And when the dialogue is on or speaking, the music ducks or lowers. And when the voice stops, the music automatically fades up. So it's a nice smooth transition for video. great for narrating voiceovers over video. And speaking of video, my favorite new tool, Adobe After Effects, that's the tool that I use for making a lot of my animated videos, my podcast promos. It got a lot of updates for mostly virtual reality and 360 camera editing. This does not excite me all that much right now. After Effects did get some improvements to animations that basically say that they're making some really complex animations a lot easier, but there's nothing earth-shattering that you need to know about After Effects right now. Okay, Premiere Pro, the main video editor in Adobe Creative Cloud. There were a bunch of updates in CC 2018, but two that excited me the most were the improvements to the graphics panel, which has been getting better in Premiere, but until now was still pretty much a pain to work with type and graphics in Premiere. So CC 2018 made some big improvements, and another big update that I really love is the ability to bring in other Premiere projects. Until now, you could only work on one Premiere project at a time. So if you wanted to pull parts from another video that you made, you had to close down one, bring the other one, copy it, and paste it back in. Now you can open multiple projects in Premiere. If you are a Premiere user, you will know that this is a big deal. Okay, there were some apps that were in beta or testing ground, but they're now part of the CC bundle that I'm pretty excited about. There's Adobe XD, which is basically a prototyping app for mobile devices and web devices and stuff like that. Adobe Dimension, this is an incredible 3D tool for dummies that allows you to create really cool scenes that I think could be very interesting for content. And finally, Adobe Character Animator. It's a tool that I've been messing around with for a while, and I have a little mini mic character that I put in some of my animations, but Character Animator has always been a little confusing and quirky, but it's getting easier now, and it's more than just fun. Adobe Character Animator is integrated with Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, and the way I think is, what can I do to get my message out there in a unique way? Same with Adobe Dimension. I do not enjoy 3D. It's too complicated usually, but have a look at the new Dimension, as I have pegged it as a pretty cool tool and a powerful tool to display my logo and brand element. When I look at these new tools and technologies, I really don't care what they were made for. I look at how I can use them to up my game. For example, the new XD that I talk about, it's a prototyping tool. I have no intentions of making an app, but I see a cool way to display content if I'm making tutorials. So, as Steve Jobs said, think differently. That's all I'm encouraging you to do. So Adobe CC 2018 was a major update. There were some features like Lightroom CC that were game changers in my opinion, but I also see it as a warm-up or a preview for what's to come. Internet technologies are moving to the cloud. We are no longer limited to the device on our desk, and content consumption is heaviest on mobile devices. Think about how much time you spend on your iPhone. Pretty soon, you are going to be able to do everything you can on your workstation from the palm of your hand. And I find that pretty interesting and exciting, and it's not going to be a choice very far from now. It's just going to be the way we do things. I see Adobe CC and many of our current tools and services we use as just getting started. The reason I wanted to bring it to your attention was to make you realize there is a big shift happening right before your eyes with how we create content and how we manage our tools and data, and how our clients and audience are consuming content. And as I follow each major update in the Adobe Creative Cloud, in Apple iOS, and on, it gets me excited. It gets my creative juices flowing because the technology that is now available in my pocket would have been impossible just 5 years ago. Listening to some of the Adobe keynotes last month about their plans for the future, it is clear that they are pushing the boundaries for creatives and giving us the tools to create amazing art and video and audio and content that is interactive and interesting and accessible by everyone, anywhere in the world, on any device. The landscape is changing for all of us. It should not be scary or overwhelming, but more exciting with possibilities and opportunities. But you have to put in the work and effort to stay current and relevant. There are a lot of businesses and industries sticking to their old ways of doing things and refusing to adapt or pay attention. They are not going to last. We are in exciting times. Don't you want to make the most of it? I do. So for those of you who are currently Adobe Creative Cloud subscribers, there are a lot of improvements in the apps, and I really encourage you to explore some of those new tools Adobe has introduced, such as Dimension, XD, Character Animator, and of course, Lightroom CC. And if you want to feel like Picasso, really check out the new Kyle Webster brushes and the whole new brush engine in Photoshop. That was all I really needed to be happy. Also, don't forget about all of the mobile apps. The tools like Adobe Draw, Sketch, Capture, they are really quite incredible. And Adobe, If you are listening to this, I am anxiously waiting for Audition on the iPad. That would be an awesome thing for mobile podcasters, and I have to think it's just a matter of time. In conclusion, Adobe Creative Cloud 2018 had some big updates. Lightroom CC, I think, was the biggest one. A lot of performance improvements, some fun new tools, but the biggest takeaway that I want to leave you with today is to realize that you have powerful tools and cutting-edge technologies available to you right now to create amazing things. But you have to be willing to dig in and learn new things. It is up to you to stay educated and up to date in today's world. It would be impossible and impractical to try and learn all of the new stuff being thrown at us 24/7. But if you are in the creative space, or if you are trying to make a living creating content or building a business around social media and online marketing and personal branding, it is your responsibility to keep learning and pushing the boundaries and testing new tools, or you will get left behind and there will be no one to blame but yourself. It took me several days after the Adobe CC 2018 release to read all about the updates and the new features, so that is why I wanted to make today's show, to let you know some of the highlights, but to also keep you motivated to stay current and don't get complacent. Things are not slowing down, so keep learning, creating, and moving forward. If you have questions about anything in the Adobe Creative Cloud, I am happy to help. And as I mentioned, there is a link in the show notes if you want to take a 30-day free trial so you can start dominating the content creation world. So that is going to do it today. If you would like to join my one-man band and support the show, I now have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Mike Murphy that will unlock the super secret handshake. I thank you for joining me today. I hope you join my one-man band, and together we can learn, create, and move forward. Cheers.